Hello, I'm Deborah Thomas,
And I'm Ramsha Merchant.
and we are students of Bombay Teachers Training College in Kolaba. Today, we are going to discuss the theory of emotional intelligence by Daniel Goleman.
Let us first understand what is emotion. Emotion comes from the French word émotion, which derives from the Latin word émorve, meaning to move out or to excite. Emotion is a strong feeling deriving from one's circumstances, mood, or relationship with others. According to Merriam Webster, the definition for emotion is a conscious mental reaction, such as anger or fear, subjectively experienced as strong feeling, usually directed towards a specific object and typically accompanied by psychological and behavioral changes in the body. According to Cambridge University, in simpler words, emotion is a strong feeling such as love or anger, or a strong feeling in general.
Emotions can be categorized into two parts. First being the primary emotion and the other one being secondary emotions. Primary emotions are the basic emotions, are the emotions that we feel at the very first, especially when you're born. They are not complicated, they are temporary and easier to understand. Let us take the example from Inside Out 1. Riley, when she was a child, she experienced basic emotions such as sadness, disgust, fear, joy, and anger. Next slide.
Secondary emotions. They are much more complex because they often refer to the feelings you have about the primary emotion. It is not a reaction but a response to the understanding of the initial reaction, derived from the primary emotions influenced by cognitive processes, past experience, and cultural context. These are learned emotions which we start to understand by coping parents or others as we grow up. For example, anxiety is derived from fear, whereas nostalgia is derived from sadness and joy.
Emotional intelligence. Let us first understand how did the term emotional intelligence come into being. The term emotional intelligence was created by two researchers, Peter Salvoy and John Mayer, in their article Emotional Intelligence in the journal Imagination, Cognition and Personality, which was published in the year 1990. They explained intelligence as the ability to monitor one's own and others' feelings and emotions, to discriminate among them, and use this information to guide one's thinking and actions. But later on, this term was adopted by Daniel Goleman. First, let us know who is Daniel Goleman. Daniel Goleman was born on 7th March 1946. He is an author and a science journalist. In 1995, book Emotional Intelligence was the New York Times bestseller for a year and a half, and it is worldwide available in 40 languages. He is an author of more than 10 books on psychology, education, science, ecological crisis, and leadership. What was his theory exactly? According to him, emotional intelligence is the capacity of recognizing our own feeling and those of others, for motivating ourselves and for managing emotions well in ourselves and in our relationship. Let me give you an example. In a classroom setting, if there's a child who is all of a sudden becomes has become silent and is not participating, you can always take them in a corner or in a private setting, ask them the reason. You are trying to understand their emotion as well as maintain that relationship between the student and a teacher. Next. The emotional intelligence can be major has two major competencies. First one being the personal competency and the social competency. Deborah will now guide us with personal competencies.
Personal competencies is the awareness of the self. It focuses on how you understand your own emotions, manage them, and use them to grow. The first one is self awareness. Self awareness is understanding your own emotions, what you are feeling, how you are feeling them, and knowing why you're feeling them. Knowing why you're feeling it is very important to be able to handle your emotions. Before you understand others, understanding of your own self is very important. And therefore, having a realistic assessment of your own abilities is part of self awareness. That also helps us to have good self confidence. An accurate assessment of the self shows us our weaknesses and our strengths and helps us to act accordingly. Emotional self awareness also acts as an inner moral compass, guiding us between what is right and wrong and teaching us to choose what is right. The second aspect is self regulation. Self regulation is the ability to manage one's own emotions effectively to support the tasks that you are doing. The goal is that you will not be crippled when there are distracting or disrupting negative emotions at play. Sometimes we get overwhelmed by different emotions that we are experiencing, but self regulations helps us to manage those negative emotions effectively. So, parts of self regulation include self control, trustworthiness, and adaptability. Trustworthiness involves admitting your own mistakes and being able to see mistakes in others and confront them in an appropriate manner. Adaptability helps you to adjust to different circumstances and different environments and be receptive to new ideas. The third aspect is motivation. Motivation is that aspect within yourself that fuels your actions. It is the passion and desire and the drive within you to further push for your desires. It is the way you use your own preferences to achieve your goals. Motivated people often exhibit a strange kind of perseverance in the face of obstacles. They are able to be confident and optimistic even in the darkest of days. Three aspects within motivation are achievement drive, commitment, and optimism. Achievement drive includes setting challenging goals and taking calculated risks. Your commitment is seen when you make sacrifices at an individual level to meet a larger organizational goal. Optimism is acting out of hope for success rather than being dilapidated by the fear of failure. Here are some insights from pop culture representations. In The Good Doctor, Dr. Sean Murphy is a doctor with ASD. He has special needs, but he also is gifted with a brilliant, intelligent mind. This character offers a complex, myth busting representation with mixed levels of emotional intelligence. One would assume that somebody with autism would not be able to show empathy and kindness. However, in The Good Doctor, we see Dr. Sean Murphy being empathetic with his patients and having an attitude of resilience in a tough environment. He shows high motivation to keep going and keep accomplishing his tasks. However, we do see instances where he struggles to understand different feelings of his teammates and his near and dear ones. He struggles with interpersonal relationships there. Another example is in The Pursuit of Happiness by Chris Gardner's character. This is a story about a father and a son who battle homelessness in a very difficult way. Here we see the power of perseverance shining through in the face of adversity. He shows relentless motivation and high self regulation. Even though he is overwhelmed and not able to know where he can find money for the next day's meals, he shows a strong self awareness and self regulation. He is able to manage his emotions in order to be there for his son. He is able to maintain optimism during the darkest days of his life, which keeps him going and helps him to find a new job and to keep on providing for his family and to achieve all his dreams and goals. He never gives in to despair. All of these things show us that this is a character with high emotional intelligence. Now, Ramsha will talk about the social competencies.
Okay. Social competencies include social awareness and management of relationships. It is the ability to understand the feeling of others while managing the relationships of ourselves. It is the ability to work effectively with other people. In social competencies, we have two things. Empathy and social skills. Empathy is simply the ability to emotionally understand what others feel, see things from their point of view, and imagine yourself in their place. Empathy also refers to the ability of individuals to respond to others based on their emotional makeup or reaction. This component improves attribute such as cross cultural sensitivity, talent building, and retention to the client. Now let us take the example of Three Idiots movie. Rancher, who is the protagonist in Three Idiots, embodies empathy through his actions and philosophy. He consistently consistently supports his friends, encouraging them to pursue their passion rather than the societal expectations, demonstrating deep understanding and compassion for their struggles. His response to Raju's suicide attempt highlights his emotional depth. His desperate he desperately clears traffic to save him, showcasing his commitment to friendship. Rancho's mantra, all is well, serves as a comforting reminder that challenges can be faced with positivity and encouragement. Let us now look at another example from the movie Inside Out 2. Inside Out 2, empathy is illustrated when sadness comforts Bing Bong, Riley's imaginary friend. Initially, Joy attempts to uplift Bing Bong by distracting him from his sorrow. But this approach fails. It is only when sadness acknowledges Bing Bong's feeling and shares in his grief that he finds solace. This moment highlights the essential role of empathy in emotional connection. It shows that true comfort often comes from validating and experiencing others' pain rather than trying to erase it. Social skills. Social skills are the tools that enable people to communicate, interact, and build relationship with others effectively. This component is essential in building teams and bringing positive change in settings. It also fosters interactions among people with diverse backgrounds through enhanced communication. Taking the example of the movie The Princess Switch, the first one, the movie showcases social skills by displaying the interaction between the characters, particularly during the identity switch, Stacy and Lady Margaret. Stacy's ability to adapt to the royal etiquettes and navigate court life showcases her social adaptability. Their exchanges highlight the importance of empathy, communication, and understanding different perspectives, ultimately leading to personal growth and deeper connection. This film emphasizes how social skills can bridge gaps between diverse lifestyle and foster meaningful relationships. Another example for social skills would be Devil Wears Prada. Miranda and Andy showcase contrasting social skills. Miranda uses assertiveness, whereas Andy, who struggles with her identity but learns to adapt her communication style and develops resilience. As she navigates, Andy grows in social skills, allowing her to earn respect and ultimately assert her independence, highlighting the complexities of workplace, relationships, and the importance of adaptability in social interactions. Let me conclude the social skills with this simple quote written by Daniel Goleman. Empathy and social skills are social intelligence, the interpersonal part of emotional intelligence. That is why they look alike. Do reflect upon this.
I would like to make the case for emotional intelligence in schools and colleges. One always believes that IQ is the most determining factor of a person's life and career, but that is not the case. Emotional intelligence is just as important, and sometimes it can even be more important than what you are born with. Your IQ rarely changes over the course of your life, but EQ is learned and learnable. Therefore, here are several reasons why emotional intelligence should be taught, nurtured, and valued in schools and colleges. Firstly, we see it is not enough to be smart and hardworking. To have the added edge for success, students must also be able to understand and manage their emotions well to succeed. Many studies have shown and proved that emotional intelligence helps a student to succeed better and manage well in schools. School students having high emotional intelligence often can handle exam stress very well. They can self regulate when they have high stresses and different negative emotions that overwhelm them. They do not back down and rather they are able to focus on the task at hand. An example would be if they are in a classroom and they are weighed down by a heavy sense of boredom, their emotional intelligence would help them to focus on the task at hand and complete their work well, even if they are not interested. Another example is that school students can build positive relations with their friends and their teachers and everybody around them. Emotional intelligence helps them to be empathetic and kind and also to read emotions in others. They're able to be aware of themselves and aware of the people around them. This helps them to be proactive in managing their own selves. On the contrary, students in school with low emotional intelligence may struggle with bullying, may struggle with high levels of anxiety, and be very stressed. In universities, too, this goes on. Students with high emotional clarity and mood repair skills experience lower levels of anxiety and depression. This was found in a study. On the contrary, high emotional attention, that is focusing on negative emotions a lot, was linked with higher anxiety and depression and overall poorer health, which by which we can conclude that emotional intelligence is linked to overall health of the child. University students having high emotional intelligence, for instance, will be experiencing less anxiety, less depression. They may be in good physical condition. They are more likely to be socially committed, involved in some social justice causes, and they are able to build positive relations with people around them. In online learning, too, especially after the pandemic, we have seen that emotional intelligence plays an important role. There are many challenges in online learning. It may be difficult to read the emotions of somebody when there is a lack of the face to face feature. Because of that, people with higher emotional intelligence are able to do much better in these online settings because they are able to self regulate, they are able to connect well with others despite having barriers. They are able to overcome obstacles in engaging with peers. For example, a student who is shy or not having high level of emotional intelligence may struggle to reach out through their laptop screens or phone screens to other students in the classroom. But somebody with higher emotional intelligence can overcome these obstacles of peer pressure or self doubt and be able to navigate better relationships. That enhances their overall learning experience. There are a few great examples in film and books alike. One of my favorite ones is in Dead Poet Society. The teacher John Keating is an unconventional teacher who breaks a lot of barriers of traditional model of education. He is an anomaly in this traditional rigid structure because he was able to connect to his students and their needs. He is able to see what they are struggling with and he is able to be there for them. Because he was also able to manage his own emotions well, he was able to withstand a lot of pressure from his colleagues to conform to the traditional mode of teaching. He went against their liking and was able to do something which the students preferred more. Because of that, he suffered a lot of setback, but he never gave up his connection with his children, which showed that he was a really empathetic teacher. One very poignant example is seen in his relationship with one of the students who was suffering from a severe depression, who felt very unseen at home and felt very pressurized by his father to pursue a different career. But John Keating was able to see him and to see his passions and encourage him to pursue them. Another example is the real life story of Erin Gruel. She says, I realize that if you can change a classroom, you can change a community. And if you can change enough communities, you can change the world. She worked in a setting that had a lot of crime and a lot of difficult uh, children coming from difficult backgrounds. These classes or these children were deemed a failure in the school. The school never took any initiative to help them, but just tolerated them barely. She said that I was going to show my kids that no matter what happened with their parents, parole officers, and other teachers, I wouldn't give up on them. I let them know it matters to me that you come to class, it matters to me that you try, and it matters to me when you succeed. She was able to show tremendous empathy to her students and resilience, motivation, and a sense of purpose. She worked multiple jobs to be able to fund special activities and special trips for her children. She even organized a visit to Anne Frank's museum and helped them meet ex survivors of the Holocaust to talk to them about their struggles. One great example is where she led them through a mindfulness project where they had to reflect on their own lives and keep a journal, which helped them to build an awareness of their own selves. She had a tremendous impact on her students. Socio emotional skill building for leaders can change the culture of a school for the better. Emotional intelligence improves teacher effectiveness. It makes the teacher better in the classroom, better able to manage the class. They are goal focused. They're able to work well in high intensity situations and they show more compassion, as we have seen in the previous examples. A teacher also sets the tone of the class. It is like social contagion. Whatever emotions she experiences, she spreads it to her class as well. So, if a teacher is positive, the whole class will be positive. Emotionally intelligent leaders can create psychologically safe environments where their staff feel valued, their children feel valued, and they can provide feedback and collaborate effectively. It also helps with fighting against burnout, and that comes when needs are unmet for prolonged periods of time. So, emotional intelligence practices can help improve well being and build resilience. Now we will look at some educational implications of this theory.
Educational implications. Emotional intelligence can be introduced in class through group discussion and active listening. You can divide the class into a number of groups, provide them with a topic, and let them discuss among themselves. This will enable them to communicate their opinions and ideas. This will also create a sense of active listening. The quality of a good listener can develop among the children because people with high emotional quotient also have a high score of empathy. That is developing a sense that someone else is feeling, and empathy comes from effective listening. Only high IQ is not everything in the real life situation of a person. The second activity that you can do is self talk. Teach students the art of self talk, internal dialogue, self affirmation, reflective analysis, and the art of apology. Affirmations like I'm enough, my emotions are valid, I release all negativity from within help students understand themselves and to reflect. The third activity that you can conduct for emotional intelligence would be providing the students with a bookmark and asking them the question what emotions do they struggle to understand about themselves and how will they manage it. Let them reflect and write it down. This written matter would help them to reflect whenever they are in need to understand their emotion.
Another task to build self emotional regulation is daily self reflection. We can encourage students to do daily self reflections of after any activity that they did, what they thought about the activity, and how they felt it helped them in goal setting. They can set effective goals and build long term goals as well. That helps them to build confidence and they develop a sense that others also are supporting them in their journey. Thank you.
This brings us to the end of Daniel Goleman's theory of emotional intelligence.
Thank you.